that you will be having another great one. My name is Philomena Mastiko. Today is the 11th of May 2023 and Thursday, and also a throwback Thursday at that. Well, whatever we'll be throwing back, of course, we'll be getting to know that much later. But this morning I am joined, of course, by Mollen, Kenyena, and definitely Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono. Well, things are really getting interesting by the minute. I will tell you one thing for sure. This whole week we have been having stories coming out from several media outlets, especially concerning our medical people, our medical officers, a grade 1 to be very specific. And I don't know whether at this point the nomenclature is really essential or not, but yes. You know how we have been talking about them being on strike because of the failure of government to respond, especially positively, to the complaints that have been concerning or that concern the salary discrepancies. Now, yesterday the public service came out and they really had to also have their side heard, you know, because being the representative of government, and they did highlight very articulately how these medical officers have achieved 97% when it comes to improvement payment, at least according to the pay plan as per this financial year. And the public service said, I think it's not fair because according to what they're currently being paid, which is 6,011,555 Uganda shillings, our medical officers are asking to have an increment to 11 million and something. Now, the 6 million is slightly less to what was agreed, which was 6,175,000 Uganda shillings. So if you do the simple math there, it's just a slight difference of, I don't know how much. It's not even more than 100,000. So this is riling people up. You already complained, okay? You already complained about low payments. These are the people who are receiving what, about 1 million, 2 million, and government responded and you're being given 6 million. Now that you have the 6 million, you still want to get 11 million Uganda shillings. How about that? I don't know. I know one person who is not exactly happy about this. Mollen, good morning. Tell me how you feel, please.
Philomena, I don't know. I am telling you, I am actually angry. I am angry, and at this point, it's unbelievable. By the way, I think my first instinct on hearing that the medical doctors were getting to strike, my first instinct was, were they not paid? I actually thought they weren't given the
6 million.
enhancement. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was actually sympathizing with them. I'm like, these are the people that took it to the streets. How come they're not being... But for once, I'm on the side of government. You're in a country where everyone is asking for enhancements, and first priority was given to you guys. The medical officers were getting 1.5 million before the enhancement, and now they are getting 6 million Ugandan shillings. Now, you also have the same government that has arts teachers that are still not getting the enhancement. They were promised that in the coming financial year, they would be taken care of. They are waiting. You still have security officers who even earn less than 1 million, and they are also still, you know, expecting enhancement. You still have all dockets of government workers that are still waiting for the enhancement, and you that is already somewhere, and like you mentioned it, 97%.
Yes.
You still want more? That is, and sometimes, by the way, His Excellency uses the word greed. There are some Ugandans that get greedy, and they do not look at the economic trend that we are having right now. Allow for the enhancement to at least cut across, but you are at least getting something. And that was a huge enhancement from there. You had nurses that were actually even earning below 1 million as well, and they were enhanced to a certain level. When they said scientists are going to be enhanced, a lot of people in this government that were scientists actually took it on, but not everyone has reached the level. At least we know the science teachers were enhanced, and those ones are not complaining, by the way. Those people never said a word since then.
Yes.
And that means they are appreciative. They are appreciative that that enhancement was actually put across, and they are carrying on their work. How about the doctors do the same? I am telling you, it's a shame that we still have to go through stuff like this. give us
You know,
a break.
every single time I come out to say that the humankind is a very insatiable, because right now you wouldn't believe it, but there are certain government dockets that have not even achieved more than 10% when it comes to salary increment as per the pay plan. But you're looking at a classification of people who have received 97%, okay, on the salary increment plan. And this is what was agreed between these people and government. And now they're becoming something else. I don't know. Roberts, good morning. How are we feeling about this?
Ugandans are the happiest people in East Africa. Good morning.
Yes.
Hoping you're fine. I hope the two beautiful ladies are also doing well. Plus the big team behind everything here. Well, I made kind of be a 50-50. Why must I say 50-50? You see, one time there was a cow, there was a rat, and I think poison in the house. So the rat asked the cow to help it. You know, Bumasu, these rat traps?
There are traps, yes.
So it was out there and said, no, you step on this thing and crush it at least with your feet. It will kill me one day. So the cow said, well, I don't sleep in the house. It will kill you, not me. The rat said, okay. But even there is still poison somewhere. Said, will that concern me? What happened? The head of the house took poison. He passed on. They slaughtered the cow. The rat remained. Now I think what is important is not who have gotten salary increment to what percentage. But you see, it is how do we look at the general welfare? One, professions differ. How much time you sacrifice, what else you can do, and actually what you do in your profession. Now, these, for example, I'll talk about specialized doctors. These are people you may find that because of the scarcity of workers in our hospital, human resource, that this person will report to duty at 7, sometimes they go overnight out of passion, though there are those that also because of Chintu Chidogo, and they're almost there 24/7. That is one. Say two, they deal with saving life. 6 million, I think we're talking about gross, not net, before it's taxed.
Even then.
And I know many Ugandans are saying, how many of them can earn 6 million? Because I know if you give some people, I won't measure, and you tell them you're going to be earning 6 million a month, my friend, they would even want to sleep and stay at their workforce. To me, I think government should stop looking at sector by sector. These are what will cause these divisions. Let's have a wholesome approach and say all public servants, all people that are paid by government, let's make a 50% increase. You get it?
Yes.
Because there everyone will feel catered for. If someone has been getting this amount, yes, we've added this amount. It is universal.
Because at any one
Yes,
point,
because-
there are different people who are going to feel left out
Yes.
of all this process.
Yes. But if you come up and say, fine, everyone, we had an addition of 50% of your salary. So however little it is, don't complain. That is what, but when you look at sector by sector, because you are talking about these people, that they may show you look at the political administration of this country. I mean, these people getting 6 million and we say, yes, they have achieved fine, but there's a bigger problem to this. We must prioritize. Let me tell you, cost of administration in this country is very expensive. You'll have an RDC, not saying that they're not doing good work, they're doing tremendous work. An RDC has a car, government doesn't buy old vehicles. We've seen these Toyota double cabins. I don't know how much they got for, but about maybe even 300 million. You have a RDC, deputy RDC, sometimes there are 3 in a district. Look at our parliament.
But Robert, what
So-
we are simply saying is...
Me, what I'm looking at is the problem is bigger than this doctor.
No, but what if you're saying that we should be looking at sector, we shouldn't look at sector by sector. What we are simply saying is that Ugandans need to understand the economic status of the country. And you as a sector, if you have had, you know, a decision and say, okay, for us, we are demanding for 90%, 100% increment, and government has said, okay, let us prioritize you. And that's actually what was said even before, when the president said, let's prioritize the scientists, but we are going to get to everyone. And they have given you a priority, and you've achieved at least a percentage of your enhancement. And now they're saying, we also want to move to other sectors and also look at how, because the country might not afford to give the 50%. If you're being realistic, that is not achievable. But if we are going to go sector by sector and we're enhancing, what we are expecting from most of these sectors is that you at least give government a break. Because you are looking at people who have just been enhanced in the previous financial year, but then they are putting down tools, they want to put down tools for the next financial year if they do not get top enhancement. Yet they were told, we are prioritizing you, and everyone else was on hold. And you didn't see a big fuss about it. They were like, okay, we understand the economic status, let us wait. And now that it is their turn to also get a little bit of enhancement, you are laying down your tools, yet you were prioritized first. I think that's the issue here. That's the issue.
Yeah, and I honestly buy into that, because yes, by the way, I don't think 6 million, truthfully speaking, is enough for the kind of work these people do. But versus the reality of the economic state right now, you cannot come from anywhere and start demanding for more money. It's not practical. It doesn't make sense. But yes, 6 billion is not enough, and we understand. But if you have achieved 97% of the agreed enhancement as per the pay plan, why are you why are you laying your tools down? It's not practical. It's being very selfish. Now imagine if everybody was taking that route, what would happen in the country? So all we are asking is be a little bit more realistic and be in touch with what is happening economically. There is nobody doing well. We have seen the ministry come out, rather Ministry of Finance come out to slash budgets of different ministries that we render very, very important, very imperative. Ministry of Education, we have seen the Ministry of Tourism, we have seen, there are very many ministries where we've seen budgets being slashed by 50%. So really, if they can take that and you have had an increment, why wouldn't you be okay with that for now, as we're trying to rectify? So I guess that's the whole point. We understand where the pain is coming from, but we also really expect you to be in touch and be in sync with the realities of what is happening economically. Well, right now we'll get into some of our local stories, more stories happening here and there, coming in from all different corners of the country, and later on we'll progress on what is happening outside Uganda.
Well, we'll begin with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who expressed anger over the murder of his state minister, that is for Labour, retired Colonel Charles Okello Engola, by UPDF-attached bodyguard, Private Sabiti Wilson, describing the murder as an embarrassment to the UPDF establishment, and asked the army to take full responsibility. While officiating at the funeral service at Kololo as the chief mourner, President Museveni said the late Engola had nothing to do with the cause of his death, and the Chief of Defense Forces has constituted a commission of inquiry to conduct investigations into the murder and produce a detailed report why Private Sabiti killed his principal. Still, counter accusations rocked Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee after officials from National Council of Sports and former Netball Federation failed to agree on the alleged mismanagement of funds. Officials were appearing before the committee to answer queries on alleged mismanagement of funds, diversions of allowances meant for players, and soliciting of kickbacks. The government has appealed to medical specialists and senior house officers to prioritize patients, saying the pay grievances are being worked upon. The government had ordered all intern doctors on strike to return to hospitals and treat patients. Speaking at Uganda Media Center, the Minister for Public Service, Muruli Mukasa, said the protests by the intern doctors are not official and unknown to government. And finally, on the local scene, the Katikiro of Uganda, Charles Peter Mayiga, has applauded partners that have made efforts to restore Kasubi tombs that were destroyed by a blazing fire in 2010. Katikiro visited tombs yesterday morning to assess the works. He also launched firefighting equipment and received Grand House Bucha Bukula inside the tomb, partly constructed by government. The State Minister for Tourism, Martin Mugara, officially handed over the house to Katikiro and pledged government commitment to continue cooperating with Buganda Kingdom to promote tourism in the country.
Well, away from that, looking at some of the international stories, Israel has continued its attacks on Gaza, killing 21 people in response to what it says were rockets fired by Palestinian groups. Now, Gaza's health ministry said 7 people were killed on Wednesday, a day after Israel's strikes on the Palestinian territory left 15 dead. 4 of those killed on Wednesday were fighters with the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, the group said. A 10-year-old Palestinian girl named Layan Madoku was killed in a blast at her home in Gaza City in unclear circumstances. A Texas State District Court has sentenced a United States Army sergeant to 25 years in prison on Wednesday after he was found guilty last month of killing a Black Lives Matter protester. The legal team for Daniel Perry, 36, has already announced he would appeal the sentence handed down by Judge Cliff Brown of the 147th Criminal District Court. But the 25-year prison term sets the stage for Republican Governor Greg Abbott to make good on remarks he made promising to pardon the Army sergeant, who has argued he acted in self-defense. Perry was convicted of murder in the shooting of 28-year-old Garrett Foster, a U.S. Air Force veteran who was demonstrating at a Black Lives Matter rally on July 25, 2020 in the state capital of Austin. Both Foster and Perry are white.
3 Tanzanian MPs have been warned not to take off any of their clothes when in Parliament. Speaker Tulia Ackson issued her warning after MP Mwita Waitara took off his jacket and tie during a debate. He had become angered during a heated session regarding the compensation of his constituents who had been displaced by mining and ended up storming out of the chamber. Ms. Ackson was not bothered about the manner of his leaving, but by the breach of parliamentary dress code, which requires formal wear in the chamber. She described his removal of jacket and tie as undisciplined. This behavior is not permitted inside Parliament and it should never happen again. If you're angered, go wind down outside, said Ms. Ackson. And in climate news, South African national parks experts said tourism industry has recovered from the impact of COVID and considered the current load shedding as an opportunity to go green. Speaking to African Travel Indaba 2023 in Durban, Sun Park's new CEO, Hapilo Selo, said South Africa needed more conversation about conservation. We do not join the masses of just bringing down the government. No, tourism is our bread and butter. We should be talking about pollution, conservation and environmental impact. We are approaching it from that perspective, she added. Sailo is the first female CEO of Sun Parks since it was established in 1926. There are so many challenges that face us in conservation. Our biodiversity and climate change is a major threat to the tourism sector, she added.
We're looking at more stories coming in from our dailies, the New Vision, of course, and the Daily Monitor, starting off with Angola. 70 blames army for minister's death, and of course the president goes on to call for voluntarism, patriotism and sacrifice. Well, in more stories, looking at the budget increased by 1 trillion shillings. Of course, we're looking at the financial budget of the year 2023-2024. And Muhozi inspects Kampala potholes. And in a series, a retired teacher narrates politics and fraud in schools. And still torching some more light in the Iron Sheet saga, Nabanja's aide has been summoned as well. Progressing into the Daily Monitor, motorists face fresh fines as police eat penalty cash. And government holds O-level vocational exams. Still and more stories in the Daily Monitor. Striking doctors defy government orders. And of course, the lizard sharing his thought. Yet we thought they were white angels. Who are they referring to? Grab yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and the New Vision to catch up on all of these and more stories. And of course, in your everyday or your daily health check, Robert here has some words of wisdom to share with you this morning.
Well, it is all about boosting your immune system. You know, when you boost your immune system, you don't fall sick. Sickness does not weaken you because your body is able to fight off. So boost your health system, boost your personal health system by not saying, I have medical insurance, I have all this. These are good, but how do you look after your body? Empower your white blood cells to be able to fight off a number of diseases. And I recommend Hallelujah Tamarind drink, Hallelujah Ginger tea, Hallelujah banana juice. At just 1,500, any retail shop, any supermarket, these drinks are there.
There you go. Make sure that you do everything and anything to ensure that your health is in check. Well, today is Throwback Thursday, and here just a quick one for you, Mollen and Robert. Are you familiar with Boys to Men? Do you have any favorite from these boys?
There is a song they did with Mariah Carey.
I think I know it. I think I've forgotten the name though.
Yes. That was my favorite those days.
Those days.
Yes, those days. Sometimes you want to call them the good old days.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I agree with you. Those were the good old days.
People would study what they wanted to study and they're very passionate. Those are good. People would work because they're passionate about that. Not today where people work because of the money. You ask, what? I want to be a doctor. I want to be and when you ask them, do you want to be a doctor because you want to treat people? Or they'll tell you, doctors earn good money. I want to be a lawyer. Why?
The treatment, treating people is secondary, but the jobs, rather the money that comes with the job is primary.
Someone takes off to save life, and a mother is dying
you
there.
guys, be primary. Is there anyone who doesn't work for the money at a certain point?
The money should be come on.
No. People,
if you
I am telling you, passion is not going to pay your bill.
But it has to be there.
Not in Uganda at least.
You love. No more.
People, let's get to reality.
Go tomorrow.
Get to reality.
Versus money.
Yes, we are going to have this discussion tomorrow.
It was all about passion and then music had meaning, by the way. If you listen to the Boys to Men, if you listen to their music, you understand what they are talking about. They take you to the scene even when you don't have, when there is no video.
It's very relatable.
You could just close your eyes and they take you there. Today you guys, the music, someone you ask them, they can sing a song. Ba 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 ba.
I know it. I am going to shelve this for tomorrow, Robert. But oh my God, Mollen, what is your favorite from the Boys to Men?
They have a song called "The Color of Love." I think that's my favorite from Boys to Men, really. And well, End of the Road is also one good one.
End of the Road,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Speaking of End of the Road, we're taking you back to 1991, Song of the Day, Boys to Men with End of the Road. When we come back, we'll be having some more discussions concerning ghost workers in all these government institutions and what some government institutions have resorted to doing as a way of sieving out the ghost workers to ensure that enough salary is available for the physical employees in all these institutions. Good morning, Uganda. We'll be returning shortly after this.
This is good.
Good morning, Uganda. A wonderful, wonderful day for us here on UBC TV. Well, we are hoping that you will be having another great one. My name is Philomena Mastiko. Today is the 11th of May 2023 and Thursday, and also a throwback Thursday at that. Well, whatever we'll be throwing back, of course, we'll be getting to know that much later. But this morning, I am joined, of course, by Mollen, Kenyena, and definitely Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono. Well, things are really getting interesting by the minute. I will tell you one thing for sure. This whole week we have been having stories coming out from several media outlets, especially concerning our medical people, our medical officers, a grade 1 to be very specific. And I don't know whether at this point the nomenclature is really essential or not, but yes. You know how we have been talking about them being on strike because of the failure of government to respond, especially positively, to the complaints that have been concerning or that concern the salary discrepancies. Now, yesterday the public service came out and they really had to also have their side heard, you know, because being the representative of government, and they did highlight very articulately how these medical officers have achieved 97% when it comes to improvement payment, at least according to the pay plan as per this financial year. And the public service said, I think it's not fair because according to what they're currently being paid, which is 6,011,555 Uganda shillings, our medical officers are asking to have an increment to 11 million and something. Now, the 6 million is slightly less to what was agreed, which was 6,175,000 Uganda shillings. So if you do the simple math there, it's just a slight difference of, I don't know how much. It's not even more than 100,000. So this is riling people up. You already complained, okay? You already complained about low payments. These are the people who are receiving what, about 1 million, 2 million, and government responded and you're being given 6 million. Now that you have the 6 million, you still want to get 11 million Uganda shillings. How about that? I don't know. I know one person who is not exactly happy about this. Mollen, good morning. Tell me how you feel, please.
Philomena, I don't know. I am telling you, I am actually angry. I am angry, and at this point, it's unbelievable. By the way, I think my first instinct on hearing that the medical doctors were getting to strike, my first instinct was, were they not paid? I actually thought they weren't given the
6 million.
enhancement. Yeah.
Yes.
So I was actually sympathizing with them. I'm like, these are the people that took it to the streets. How come they're not being... But for once, I'm on the side of government. You're in a country where everyone is asking for enhancements, and first priority was given to you guys. The medical officers were getting 1.5 million before the enhancement, and now they are getting 6 million Ugandan shillings. Now, you also have the same government that has arts teachers that are still not getting the enhancement. They were promised that in the coming financial year they would be taken care of. They are waiting. You still have security officers who even earn less than 1 million, and they are also still, you know, expecting enhancement. You still have all dockets of government workers that are still waiting for the enhancement, and you that is already somewhere, and like you mentioned it, 97%.
Yes.
You still want more? That is, and sometimes, by the way, His Excellency uses the word greed. There are some Ugandans that get greedy, and they do not look at the economic trend that we are having right now. Allow for the enhancement to at least cut across, but you are at least getting something. And that was a huge enhancement from there. You had nurses that were actually even earning below $1 million as well, and they were enhanced to a certain level. When they said scientists are going to be enhanced, a lot of people in this government that were scientists actually took it on, but not everyone has reached the level. At least we know the science teachers were enhanced, and those ones are not complaining, by the way. Those people never said a word since then.
Yes.
And that means they are appreciative. They are appreciative that that enhancement was actually put across, and they are carrying on their work. How about the doctors do the same? I am telling you, it's a shame that we still have to go through stuff like this. Give us
You know,
a break.
every single time I come out to say that the humankind is a very insatiable, because right now you wouldn't believe it, but there are certain government dockets that have not even achieved more than 10% when it comes to salary increment as per the pay plan. But you're looking at a classification of people who have received 97%, okay, on the salary increment plan. And this is what was agreed between these people and government. And now they're becoming something else. I don't know. Roberts, good morning. How are we feeling about this?
Ugandans are the happiest people.
My name is Philomena Mastiko with Robert Kirabo Nyonyintono on this Thursday morning. Very interesting discussions this morning when it comes to ghost workers. I mean, I feel like this has been a problem over time, and we're still facing it. And again, we are yet to face it if we are not serious about it, if we're not intentional and deliberate about it. Now, the problem of ghost workers, Robert, it has become very common in all these government ministries, departments, and even agencies. And the country, as a result, has been able successfully actually to lose money, bleed money from all corners in whichever way you want to look at it. And when we talk about ghost workers, what do we mean by this? You look at a payroll of a government ministry, a government department, a government agency, and these are the registered number of employees. So in your ultimate sane mind, you believe all these employees are physical. These are people who are actively working in this government. So if I am issuing out their salary payments, all of them have to get money. But when you look at that payroll, if you actually were intentional about it and you went in depth to find out who is who, you will find out probably on a scale of 10%, you'll find that there is only, say, 5% of physical employees. The rest are non-existent employees or workers. Now, those non-existent employees are the ones we are referring to as ghost workers. The question here, though, is that when that money is released in terms of salary to these non-existent employees, where does it go? Because these people are actually not there. They don't exist in these ministries. So who takes this money? Where does it go? Can we say that all these ministries and departments and agencies have consolidated funds? Well, that is again questionable. So where does that money go? Well, we'll be looking at that between myself and Robert, and I do encourage you and I urge you to be part of the conversation. Go to our social media handles and Twitter, #UBCGMU, and make use of our WhatsApp platform 0709-602-592. What do you think would be the permanent solution to work out the problem of ghost workers in government institutions? What do you think would be the permanent solution to work out the problem of ghost workers in government institutions? Please share with us your opinions, your thoughts. You never know, that is where the solution could actually be hanging. It's no wonder Ministry of Finance came out, Robert, to say, you know what, I think we are going to do a physical verification of our employees to know who is actually who. I don't know how they're going to be doing that, whether they'll get the payroll and probably mention names. Robert, come here. Philomena, come here. I don't know what system they're going to use, but they have decided to take on that move or take on that strategy to be able to sieve out the ghost workers and the physical workers. But in all of this, how do you feel about this, Robert?
Well,
and especially government institutions.
You know, the problem with Africans, with Ugandans, and people in third world countries, we always do something else and leave what we should do. I'm not a lawyer, but I have so many friends of mine that are lawyers. One of the things they have told me is in law, there's what we call precedent. And that's all, even in life, precedent. That you can find a son doing exactly what their father was doing. And they'll be okay telling you, for me, my father did this, why can't I do it? Now, this is not the first time you're talking about ghost workers.
No.
I remember when it was a problem with the army. They tried. And if there is any institution in this country, I want to say that is fairly perfect in terms of systems. The army has done so much. But the problem is people committing offenses and walking away with them. I want to look in this camera and emphasize, there is nothing you're going to apply in this country that is going to do away with ghost workers. As long as those that are found culpable due to corruption, due to systems here and there, due to selective justice, walk scot-free. Let me just take you back. In 2018 is not very far.
It's not really so far, just a couple of years ago.
The State House Health Monitoring Unit found that 30% of health workers in Abim district were ghost workers.
30%.
30% were ghost workers. Or people who had left their workstations long ago and gone abroad, but were still earning government salary. Financial year ending, the Auditor General's report indicated how there were so many ghost workers on the government payroll. Now, why isn't this ending? It is because when these come to public attention, not so much is being done. Because, Philo, UPDF did its cleaning. We've had many organizations have revamped what and all this. They'll tell you the number of workers is now so many. We want to reduce. Later they end up double the number they first. So why? Because we've done so much lip service. For us Christians, we say the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. And the body has overpowered the spirit. That is why some people go into fasting. And they say, why are they fasting? Is to deny the body its lavishness, so that their spirit may grow. Today, we've not denied the body its lavishness for the spirit to grow in this country. How do these ghost workers occur? One I've just mentioned. Philo, we are working together. You get greener pastures. I know you're not going to any local TV where they will be seeing you.
Yes.
Or you even say, I quit journalism.
You've decided to join a different field.
You go to business. You go to a different field where you're not going to be that very common. That someone will say, I'm seeing this. This lady was on NTV. That's not that you be. You know, that they can easily. So when you go, this salary, when it comes, there's someone you're giving a kickback. It's not just forgotten there. Because under government, you have your immediate supervisor. You have a person who is supposed to indicate to the human resource after a period of time that so and so is no longer
part of this.
Part of us. Then you're removed from the payroll. Now, that person, because they are having what we call syndicate corruption, syndicate corruption, that people are no longer stealing monies and cheating government as individuals. It is a network. It's a network
right from the top management.
Yes, it is a network. That if we know we have about 40 staff that are now ghosts that left in that manner, but are still on the payroll, we even divide them. I have my 20, you have your 20. So everyone gets, and that is the commonest, by the way. Leave alone putting their names, because that is not so common. But people who leave government work and they go and find other greener pastures, then they're still getting money. So how hard is it to come and say, if so and so is not working, where has this money been going? Get that person. So people leaving work is one of the ways that these people are getting this money. But we must look at a bigger problem than that. How do people access these jobs?
Yes. Because if there is a right HR process of recruitment, definitely you want to believe that this process or the right HR policy in all these government MDAs goes all the way from recruitment up to the point when somebody leaves this workplace. So this will actually have fingers being pointed at, especially the HR departments. How is this happening under your nose?
And let me tell you, some of these things, the HR is prosecuted for nothing. For nothing.
Are they following orders? Can we say they're following orders from above?
Because no, some of
because we know that I am going to put you under the light. Yes.
Be very honest as we can be, because we are looking at how we can save our country. Because some of these things today, you may be in government, and they are not affecting you. Maybe even your children have stayed abroad, so you're sure they may not be part of you, but you don't know what tomorrow may bring. And please listen to us this morning, if you've been blessed to watch us this morning, that you may not know what the future holds. You may think you've secured the future for yourself, for your children, but you don't know what it may bring. So let's make systems, let's make this very favorable, that no matter what happens, you're still safe. Philo, if we do not look at how people are getting jobs, this is what is happening in some institutions, not all. If you find relatives, yes, a department full of relatives, how do you expect someone to go to another organization, leave government, and is deleted from the payroll? People coming from almost cocoons, people where someone just gives a phone call and someone accesses a position. So, if we do not look at how people get jobs, we're going to have the ghost workers. People are going to leave and not removed from the payroll. If we don't have strong monitoring mechanisms, people are going to put others on payroll that are never there. If we do not allow ourselves to say your hours, but what you've done is wrong, let's ensure we have punishments. No system are we going to put in place, and I want to emphasize this. When we do not have punitive measures of those culpable, that is going to work. And the system is going to be manipulated.
And I mean, Robert, while you're at it, I think even as we speak right now, 2023, all these scams are becoming sophisticated over time. In fact, I feel like what we are talking about could be a little bit more, backward, because as time goes by, sophistication, technology changes, people are going to play around with the payroll. And even the channels through which the government is bleeding, especially when it comes to the funds, is changing. For example, a salary forensic audit by the Auditor General for the year 2022 found that many cases of overpayments were being registered. You're looking at underpayments as well, and of course cases of illegal payroll access and deductions. And when you talk about underpayments, this is why you find that an employee is ideally supposed to be receiving 1 million Uganda shillings as agreed as per the contract, okay? And the money that falls on that account is going to what? Okay, say if your net is supposed to be 1 million, you're receiving about 800,000. Where is the 200,000 Uganda shillings going? There are people who are being overly paid. They are being paid way beyond what was agreed between them and whichever government MDA it is. So that as well, it's becoming quite very, very problematic right now. So it may not even necessarily be the ghost workers, but the people in these institutions getting more than they are working for. There are people who are getting less than what they are working for.
How this happens, I'm not an expert to this, but it is also part of the problem that I've talked about. How does one access a job? If it's a dealing, some of these things you may think that we have a victim, but when a victim is just empowered by what we're talking about. If a person is not qualified and they came in anyhow, yes, they can strike such a deal and say yes. If a person knows that nothing is going to happen to them when they do such evil, these things are going to continue. That's why I said in the beginning that for me I find it very hard that people move away from the actual solution. It's hard for me to understand that, look, this thing is simple, this thing is simple. Let's make certain things sour. And for me, Philo, I want to emphasize this. In this lovely country of ours, that's why I'm not even bothered, because I know there is a solution and we have a solution. Technology can be manipulated by people, human beings.
Technology is meant to be manipulated, actually.
We even had hackers.
It's
sometimes
meant to be manipulated.
Hackers.
Yes.
We've had someone coming up and saying someone tampered with our database.
Yes.
We know how figures can be changed here and there. And actually, even one of the areas that may contribute to this is technology. Because someone gets on a machine, fixes figures, changes systems, and things work out the way they want. Because technology is good, but also sometimes has disadvantages, more so at times when government purchases sometimes outdated technology. That this system, one time I was speaking to the executive director of NIRA, said the system we have has this, now I want to get a new system that is workable to do that and that. So clever, crafty people will play in with technology and they will do this. But You cannot continue lamenting. We've done so much lamenting as government. We have a problem, and that's why sometimes I find it's very hard to believe that we don't see this. Philo, I see our ministers, heads of government parastatals, moving out of this country to do benchmarking. Our MPs, committees to do benchmarking. Why do we have certain third world countries? We are now, or we are soon, in the middle state economy. And such things don't happen there. Why do they happen here? Because I read all these, what they are planning to do. It could reduce. But this is what government has been having. That at a time, they reduce ghost workers in a certain sector. After some years, the work they did, they have to redo it again. Redo it again. And again, after some time, redo it again. Why? Because they have not been able to discover how they can stop this. And this is the problem you're having today. Even government processes, there are some areas where it's contractual. But this issue of transferring people, you get Philo?
Yes.
Someone who has been a cow here, you know.
This district and has been transferred to the other.
It is something also very, sorry, the word I was going to use. You can't tell me that a clerk, a chief administrative officer in one district messes up things because there is a way the law protects them and you can't just lay them off anyhow. That is also another problem. Because a person knows I can mess here, and what government can do is transfer me to another district. That is a problem also. Then you look at also another problem where you're going to find that prosecutions also become hard. So for me, problems are there. More so ghost workers, those getting low pay, those getting high pay, and Ministry of Education and Sports recently tried to clean its register and payroll, where they ask teachers to kind of reapply, present their documents. But at the end of the day, just give it some time. You're going to go back to the same story.
Well, so in other words, what we can say, Robert, is that government departments are not only struggling with the lack of will to ensure that they get rid of this problem up to 0%, but they're also struggling with the lack of adequate tools to ensure that they catch up with the changes in the way these scams are being done. The technology, they have no way of actually responding to that. And of course, in terms of lack of technical tools that they need, especially to catch up with the ever-mutating system. We cannot really disagree with that. But anyway, I do have feedback coming in from a couple of people. Remember, I did ask you and to let us know what you think would be the permanent solution to the issue or problem of ghost workers in all these government parastatals, and how can we go about this? Well, I do have Derek Kakamel from Makinge talking about, I think before fighting ghost workers, government should emphasize more on fighting corruption because it's the major problem of such issues. If the IGG can successfully audit all workers there, then where can ghost workers come from, really? But if government employees are still looking at auditing as a very big threat, then it is a clear indication that they lack transparency in the offices, hence resulting into issues like ghost workers. And you find buildings claiming to be owned by 7 people and tenants are suffering the consequences. So if the IGG can do her duty minus any intervention, all that can be history. So still it goes back to auditing, it goes back to the office of IGG. If they did have, if they didn't have any influence, or if they didn't have to be influenced by any other outside institution, Derek believes that we wouldn't even be here talking about this issue because it wouldn't be a problem anyway. And Chris Chukuma from Moyo says, I think the issue of corruption in this country should attract a more harsh penalty for the person found guilty, and that should be a death sentence. Okay, many corruption scandals have been have been able to have been exposed by parliamentary committees in the public eye, but nothing substantial gets done. And he went ahead to give an example of the Mabati saga, the National Council of Sports issues, all of these just end up being sugar-coated. It's so painful that common chicken thieves are undressed, embarrassed and abused, but government officials who steal billions are tried even in court with respect. Death sentence and liquidation of their assets is the best way to fight this. I think when they say harsh punishment, this is the description of harsh punishment. And you know what? Not that we wish this on anybody, but I think it would be a way of deterring people from getting themselves involved in these. Because the consequences of these circumstances will really be so bad. But I also do have somebody called Twine Riskop saying the only permanent solution government can do to eliminate ghost workers is introducing a biometric login and logout at workstations, and in addition of cameras. Thank you so much. But I do believe all this can be manipulated, because we do have cameras in most of all these government institutions in their offices. Even the biometric, by the way, logins while you're entering, they're there. I have seen them. I've been to several government offices, and I will tell you that some of these government offices, this is where the corruption really rates so high. So you'll think maybe they might manipulate these to work in their favor. So I mean, we cannot really rule out what is what. But now, zeroing back to the focus on what the Office of the Auditor General has come out to do, and I really want to hear your take, Robert, because they finally came out and said we are going to do physical individual verification of the employees, especially in the Ministry of Finance, okay? For us to be able to rule out who is the physical worker and who is a ghost worker. And we need to understand these monies that we are releasing into this ministry, that we are paying to officials in this office, where are they going to? Do you think this is a sustainable, do you think it's a substantial method of responding to a problem like this?
Not at all, because you can't sustain it. That's why I would say not at all. It's maybe like one of the other methods that have always been here, where at one time in a certain institution we are fighting ghost workers, but after some time you have to go back to that very institution. Because one, still you're going to have the dead. Yes. Second, a person can appear, and they are themselves, the ones you have on the payroll, still they're the same people. They come, they appear, and when you go, it doesn't mean that they're going to work. Second, I think it's too big a burden compared with the human resource present to do that. It's too big a burden compared to the human resource they have to effectively, that's the word I want to use, effectively, because that is also going to have a budget. It's like you are running after corruption, then a commission, then it's also going to have a budget, Philo. It's another expenditure in its way. So it may have a time frame as well. So that may not make it very, very effective to the latter to eliminate this problem. So it is a good initiative, and it is good to...
The will is there. The will is there.
I don't want to look at the will. I don't want to look at the will. Because you see, when we talk about will,
yes,
willingness has power in it. Willingness has power and cannot be antagonized by so many things. So it's a good idea, I must say that. However, how applicable is it? Then second, how sure are we that this office will independently, uninterfered with, in its execution of what they're planning to do? There's so much interferences here, there. Some of these people, I watch so much these committees of parliament.
Yes.
If there's anything I enjoy apart from political talk shows, those are international morning shows, I enjoy these committees of parliament. And I see how people get embarrassed when they finally say, I was ordered. I was directed.
They never mention where the directions are coming from, where the orders are coming
received.
from. Yes.
You see someone at the committee try, but when you look at facial expression, their face, their mouth, this man is simply saying, I did this because I had an order, because there was interference. I had my mandate, I knew it. But what could I do? So, are they going to be independent? Reports have been presented. So many reports have been presented. Where is the action? Where's the Margaret Commission here on lands? The Uganda were like, yes, it is done.
The excitement was all over the
yes,
place. We knew that there was light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, we hosted it here, said this time. Today, the report was done, and as it was given where it is, have land problems ended. Let's stop being taken, this excitement and coming up with, you know, sometimes kind of cooling situation and being busy. But when we know the root cause, if you listen to most of our viewers, the messages that they have sent in,
yes,
I believe many have talked about impunitive action. Punitive action, harsh treatment. One talked about harsh punishments, death, isn't it? Life imprisonment, getting their property.
They're really going rogue on this one, yes.
Because it is what we need as a country. Let me tell you, Philo, countries that have fought corruption, countries that have fought issues we are talking about, have had the will. There is a famous man called Ring Kuan Yew in Singapore. This man transformed Singapore. When he took power, he was very clear. He began with his best friend who had been his best man. On his wedding, life came and said, okay, if I'm not going to kill him, then I've given him life imprisonment. If we are not willing to go down that route and say, brother, you're ours, sister, you're ours, but you've fallen short of the glory of what you're supposed to do, please, for Uganda's sake, let the law work. People have been set off hooks. We've had selective justice. If we are not going to say, how do you strengthen our investigative mechanisms in this country, that someone can properly investigate uninterrupted, facilitated fairly to carry out the investigation, when it comes to judiciary, that people there, we can have a proper system of seeing how do they deliver judgment fast, very fast, because this is where you find a case can last for. I know people who had corruption scandals, they went, did their masters, they came back, did their PhDs. So how do we, and they will tell you, yes, I'm having a case. I'm having a case on this, but the man is moving on very well. So very importantly, and finally, the problem to Uganda's problem, the solution to Uganda's problems of corruption, ghost workers, may not be even technology, but impunitive measures. Even if you have to have sacrificial lambs of our very own to set precedents and message to others not to tamper, let's do that.
Well, thank you so much, Robert. Just some final feedback from Moses Cruz, Uganda, saying, on the point, I think that the government has failed to take vivid and strong decisions and, if possible, punishments to those responsible for the ghost workers. Because even after finding out that there are ghost workers in a certain sector or docket, the government has not taken any step upon cleaning such ghosts. So I think in Uganda, the top leaders have fear of losing cheap popularity, especially to those ghosts. So I then conclude.
Others will now come up with messages. I was threatened.
I then conclude that the government is responsible for the recurring wasted payments to the so-called ghost workers. Thank you so much, Moses. And one final one here from Ewumo Bernard from Ngora district. The issue is the oversight bodies that have accepted to live positively with corruption and they are partners in crime. Well, the feedback keeps coming in here and there, but there is one here who's saying, we need to know who put the ghost workers. I mean, isn't this what we are all trying to find out? Who is behind this?
You see, it is not that we even don't know.
Yes.
Because it's not hard to investigate.
Yes.
If you're telling me you found 30% of workers in Abim in 2018 as ghost workers, people
Yes.
had left, what is hard there to investigate? Do we need Jesus? Do we need anything special?
There is always the starting point. Let me tell you something, Robert. I do believe when you look at the HR departments, that's where you start, and they will point you to who. If they're not really, if they're not as guilty, then we will know where the orders are coming from. They will point you to that. It's very simple. It works like that.
Then when you get to them and they're mighty?
Well, now that is when we have to deal, but at least we know who is in charge. Now, what happens, the aftermath, is exactly what we have
People
to deal
here,
with.
you know, when a dog is scared, they put a tail between their legs, then they cruise.
Well, we'll leave that conversation at that, but it's still going on our social media. What are the permanent, or what do you think could be the permanent solution to solving the problem of ghost workers in government institutions? Go ahead and let us know. For now, we'll look at the top stories in the Daily Nation, and of course, that Citizen, starting off with what's happening down there in Kenya. Bishops fault Ruto on taxes and state jobs. Quite a conversation that is really causing quite a lot of contention amongst Kenyans. And a new job, a party, and a body, a family's agony. We're looking at health gone broke. Alam as hospitals turn away patients with NHIF cards. And new tough rules for churches on the way, says the Attorney General. Justice Muturi talking to senators yesterday. I really like how they're being very, very firm and very intentional about dealing with churches and the cult scene, as it has been quite a prominent problem in Kenya. They're really being very intentional about sorting this issue.
Proactive?
Before things get worse?
Yes.
Yes.
There are things.
Well, I wish I could
We
give you
always
the
have
answer to
problems
that.
and we don't react. Then when the
We have
worst
the
comes to the
outburst.
worst,
Yes.
then you see all these people come in, everyone talk, everyone. And yes, but this was a growing problem. Where were you?
Can we say we lack the skill of being visionary, the lack of seeing things far from now, seeing how they could impact certain groups of people?
No, we are just
we don't see that. Anyway,
comfortable zone.
looking at the Citizen, the Democratic Republic of Congo leader hints why he prefers SADC to the EAC troops, and Tanzanian appointment to UN advisory body, and Benjamin Mkapa Hospital offers sickle cell patients fresh hope. And finally, government reveals focus areas when it comes to water in 2023-2024. Good news could be coming down to those people in all these specified areas. So grab yourself a copy of The Citizen, The Daily Nation, The New Vision, and of course, The Daily Monitor. We will go for a break. Mollen will be in with more on weather and climate. Good morning, Uganda.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way, because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
This is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today. Airtel, the smartphone network.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is the hope of our community. And as a community leader, I will talk to others about how we must protect her against child marriage and teenage pregnancy because it affects us all. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from pregnancy. Because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
This is Chilling. Don't miss a brand new season of Chilling on UBC TV.
Jerry con. Jerry con. Hey, Master Blaster. Touch him, man. Buy Jerry con with Master. Those ones who say go is for you only. Mundava, best good reason I teach you. When I go to which the squad, because of the cover is very far. Is you serious? It's just you. What? Yeah, you stay with your needs. Add kilometers to your legs, and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru, and Umaru refuses to give you enough meat. Mama, show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru, Jerry car.
Okakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu tere kitulema.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning, Uganda, and I want to take you through the traffic updates for this morning. We'll be looking at which areas could be easy for you to navigate this morning. And of course, we're looking at the roads that are leading into central town. Now, right here, we're going to look at some of the roads of that is the Kampala northern bypass towards Kampala Central City, and that's the one we'll be looking at. Now we're looking at Saapolo Kagwa Road, that is off the YEC roundabout, as well as some of the connecting roads of that area. Now we look at clear traffic, that is from the roundabout in YEC to Saapolo Kagwa Road. That entire place, you do have clear traffic, and that goes all the way up to the junction joining into Makere Hill Road, as well as the road that goes up to Nankulabye, all the way there. Now, also for some of the roads that are connecting from there, you look at the upper side of Bombo Road. Also, that road is clear, indicated by the green lines right there on the map. And that also is quite a distance, indicating clear traffic. It goes all the way joining into that is Wandegea side as well, and you're also looking at clear traffic over there. Kalere as well, coming in from the northern bypass. You do have just a small distance as you leave the roundabout, that where we have kind of intensity in traffic, but other than that, it looks like that is also clear. It goes all the way joining into the upper roads as you look at joining into Wandegea. And some of those roads also look to be quite clear. Gayaza Road as well, indicated by the green lines. You're looking at clear traffic over there, and also that goes all the way meeting up with Kira Road. That also comes into Bombo Road, where you have clear traffic joining in. So that is up to the roundabout right there, where you do have a little bit of traffic that's to build up. And that is also from the side of Binaisa Road, where you have quite some traffic right there, especially for those leaving town. But if you're joining town, that traffic is quite okay to navigate this morning. Now, continuing, Bombo Road seems to be quite clear, and of course that also goes all the way, like I mentioned, joining into Kira Road. That is where you have a little bit of traffic that is building up all the way towards Wandegea as well. You do have kind of traffic building up, but also that continues all the way for Bombo Road. So that is one road that you might need to be aware of the traffic over the area as you navigate through to get into a central town. Now, also on the other side, look at some of the joining roads of Bombo Road if you're coming into central town. Now you look at Buganda Road right there. That is for those leaving town. That looks to be quite okay. You look at some of the connecting areas, Nakasero Road. You look at Nile Avenue. Lumumba Avenue, that looks to be quite okay in terms of traffic for this morning. Just a small distance for Nakasero Road after Bombo Road, leaving Bombo Road as you connect into Nakasero Road. That's where you have a bit of traffic, but other than that, you're also looking at quite some clear traffic. That goes for Lumumba Avenue as well. Nakasero Road, that's quite clear all the way up to the junction where you're having that is Speak Road right there from the roundabout. That is where you have all these intersections joining in, and then that creates a little bit of traffic, but otherwise it's also just a small distance over there. And you look at Lumumba Avenue also as you come into the roundabout. That's where that meets Speak Road and the Tannen Avenue. But otherwise, away from the roundabout, you start to look at clear traffic all the way. And down the city square, we're also looking at quite a little bit of traffic that is building up if you're continuing to join Kampala Road. But then again, it's really not that intense. It's moving, so meaning that it's quite okay. And of course, that goes all the way as you join into Kampala Road. Shimoni Road also looks to be quite okay. And of course, that continues with Speak Road. And of course, that joins in as well to Nile Avenue. And you look at if you're also to skip Kampala Road and you're going all the way continuing to the Kampala Jinja Road, that also looks to be quite okay to use. That is Nile Avenue, but it joins into Yusufure Road, which is also looking like it has quite clear traffic all the way, except also at the roundabout right there where you now have Yusufure Nile Avenue joining in, and of course that is where you have a little bit of traffic, but other than that, you're looking at quite some clear traffic as you join onto the Kampala Jinja Highway. We also want to look at the weather situation. We'll be tapping in from the satellites and look at what is happening over the country for this morning. We'll be looking at mostly sunny morning over the northern part of the country, and that cuts across towards the eastern region as well as the Karamoja region. So we're looking at Soroti, Amuria, Mbale as well, starting off with quite a pretty sunny morning actually, and we're looking at Moroto as well, Kotido, Gulu, Padel. We're also starting off with quite a sunny one for you. We do have a mix of clouds and sunshine for the northwestern part of the country, so that means Arua as well. We're starting off with just a mix of clouds and sunshine. We're also having a few clouds develop for Midwest and Uganda. We're looking at Masindi, Hoima as well, where you have those clouds building in, and that's kind of takes in the central area as well. While we're seeing the white colors on the map, that is where we have clouds building up over there. And also that goes for southwestern Uganda as well as the Rwenzori area. So Kasese, we're also starting off quite cloudy. Parts of Fort Portal also starting off quite cloudy. Now we do have a rainy system that is starting to develop across the Lake Victoria Basin, and that is likely to bring us rains later on in the day. That could be for the central Lake Victoria Basin as well as the western part of Lake Victoria, but also most likely that rainy system could actually extend to southwestern Uganda. But to be precise, we'll be looking at the forecast that is given out for this morning, that is coming in from the Uganda National Meteorological Authority, and also look at those numbers that are expected for today, especially for most areas where we've been looking at continuous rainy conditions. That could mean the temperatures are, going down a little bit. Now we're starting with that is the western part of Lake Victoria across Masaka, Kalisizo, Zimbabwe and Rakai. The forecast indicates isolated showers that will be across several places. Also starting with Chile at 25 degrees centigrade. Now looking at that is southwestern Uganda, where we have Mbarara, Ibanda, Bushenyi as well as Rubirizi. We're likely to have mostly a mixture of clouds and sunshine, and also temperatures are going to be quite down. That is starting with at 25 degrees. And that is for Mbale. We're looking at Bududa, Buko and Sironko. We are likely to have rains over there as well. That will come in as the morning progresses, starting off at 26 degrees. Now we do have, that is the eastern part of Central, where we're looking at Wero, Wobbly, and Siburudi and Akaseke. Also forecasting isolated rains that will be spread across several places within that region, starting off with a pleasant 26 degrees centigrade. We also do expect that that system will reappear again in the afternoon. Now the eastern part of the country, we're looking at Soroti, Katakwi, Amuria and Kumi. That started off quite with a mix of clouds and sunshine, mostly sunny for now, but we do expect that rains will be coming in later on as we cross over into the afternoon. Also quite a warm morning, that is at 27 degrees. And we're looking at the central part of northern Uganda, where we do have Jumani, we have Gulu, Kitgum and Padel. We are forecasting a mix of clouds and sunshine, mostly sunny for this morning, and that is putting temperatures at 28 degrees centigrade in the forecast. That means that we could also be looking at quite a warmer day, as similar weather is actually expected for much of today, even as we cross over into the afternoon over that area. Now looking at the central part of that is Lake Victoria Basin, where we have Mukono, Kampala, Entebbe and Wakiso. We are forecasting isolated showers, and that will be starting with at a chilly 24 degrees centigrade. Also likely that those rains will reappear again in the afternoon. Now talking about rains, we continue to look at quite a heavy downpour that is going across that is Democratic Republic of Congo, and as of yesterday, again more numbers have been reported to have actually died from most of these extreme weather events, including flooding as well as landslides. Now that also adds to the number. The whole of last week we did see quite heavy downpours across the Democratic Republic of Congo, that is in the Kivu province, and right now what the situation on ground is indicating that they are actually experiencing more rains over the area, and of course that might trigger more floods and more landslides. According to the Democratic Republic of Congo's that is territorial governments, the authority is saying that local authority is saying that further victims of the recent heavy rains have actually been noticed, and of course this has killed hundreds in the floods at the border region especially. Now a fresh downpour loosened up that was on a hillside in a village near that is the area where even in the first place we had the first incidence of the flooding, and of course that took 10 people that were reported dead and a lot of damages over that area. Still that is reported to be because of the landslide. Now meanwhile we're also looking at now the death toll actually has risen to 426 people right now as of Wednesday morning, and of course about 1,000 people that are still missing according to the local authorities and also the Red Cross Institute across South Kivu. Now this is a region that has been worst hit by these heavy downpours and of course resulting into floods as well as landslides. Now aid workers also have continued to talk to the people in the area and of course the remote mountainous areas to actually vacate the surrounding part of the mountain or also close to southern Kiev. That still poses a risk to the people within the area, but also about the sanitation since they are also looking at continued rains that could also fracture into a lot of damages to the water still available, and that could trigger a lot of that. But also we did see the United Nations climate experts coming out to say that the frequent and intense rains in Africa as a whole are due to climate change, and of course the recent downpours have also raised the concern about flooding and about that is landslide according to the Meteorological and Hydrological Agency in Democratic Republic of Congo. But also this is not the first incident that has been linked to climate change, as even in the past years we have been looking at extreme weather events happening in Congo, but also across other areas of Africa, according to the reports that are also coming in from the United Nations climate experts, indicating that still you're looking at the heavy flooding that happened just recently across Rwanda and of course across Uganda that have also killed people. That is in the southwestern part of the country, that is across Kisoro. We've also seen recent flooding in Toroko where people lost their lives and a lot of property that were destroyed, and also we're talking about Rwanda where about 130 people died from those floods and about 5,000 homes that were destroyed. So this is a serious issue across the greater Horn of Africa as well. If you look at that, where we're not only seeing the flooding extremes and landslide, but we're also looking at drought crisis that continues to be linked to climate change. The intensity is there, the frequency is there, and of course that also poses a huge call about climate action and how we can deal with the intensity of it. Now, talking about most of these climate impacts and their extremes, we've also known that drought has been on a worry, especially ever since at the beginning of May, the World Meteorological Organization came out to confirm that we could be looking at another El Nino year, and of course that means that we could be looking at more cases where we are now having extreme weather events. And according to the information coming across right now, some of the areas that are worried about extreme in terms of drought have been actually Argentina, and what they are fronting right now, according to the reports coming in, is that the agriculture has been really on a very, very low sector due to the continued drought crisis across Argentina. And of course, as of yesterday, the El Nino weather phenomena that was actually predicted that would still hit most places within the world, Argentina says at least they have hope that if it brings with it that is wet weather conditions, then the agriculture sector could recover. But also being one of the world's top food producers, actually they are the top world's producer when it comes to food. They are saying that dry conditions is not something they can take when it comes to maintaining the agriculture sector, and being one of the world's food baskets. Of course, that is a big concern. And now they are looking at if it is likely that this scenario will bring in heavy rains, they could take advantage of that. But also they do acknowledge that they are not immune to the climate impacts, and looking at how the season has been performing even from the last year into this year, they could be expecting at least 6.7 million hectares to slightly go up in terms of production. That is a lot of coverage that could actually make a difference, especially as we're looking at the recycle in food production. Well, that does it for now. We will be going for Good Morning Uganda agenda that will be coming up right after this. Later than that, we'll also be taking you through sports highlights. My name is Mollen Kenyena. Wishing you a good day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial *165*5*3# to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
This is Chilling. Don't miss a brand new season of Chilling on UBC TV.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
This is our family's pride.
This is my friend.
This is the future of our nation.
She is the future of Uganda, and the policies I enact today will protect her from teenage pregnancy.
She is the hope of our community, and I will talk to others about how we must protect her.
She is our family's pride, and I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Their support meant so much to me. I stayed focused and was protected from child marriage and teenage pregnancy. I will support other girls against child marriage and teenage pregnancy.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sauti 116.
Live from Now Avenue in UBC Studios. This is Good Morning Uganda.